Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit, England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit, England, today, this is a Brexit special because it's 3 years to the day since we left the EU, the 31st of January today. So 3 years ago today, we actually left the EU. And obviously, that I've quite been enjoying Brexit because I think that the people of this country really deserve every minute of Brexit. Right? I think when you look around, you say, you know what, it couldn't have happened, right, to better people than this has happened to. Right. You couldn't have found anyone else in the world that this should have happened to, because no one else in the world would be stupid enough to vote for something so damn stupid in the first place. I mean, remember they was telling us about the Brexit, French exit, and all these other countries were saying, oh yeah, we want to leave too. Every single one of them are now looking at Britain and saying, you know what, no, we're going to like ride this EU thing out, because this shit looks like, they look at us, right, as the model, right. Never ever make that mistake that those people have made. That's how every single country in the world, well, especially every country who's got access to going to the EU or who is in the EU, every single country is using this country as a model as what not to do. Right? And that's like, and that's only taken a very short 3 years. We've still got all these delusional politicians in power, but I mean, a lot of the people in this country are completely delusional. I mean, this, when you look at Brexit, Brexit's wasn't about just white people, right? Because you've got plenty of black and Asian people who was just overly delusional. The chap I can remember, right, is guys like my complexion, and he was there in a Union Jack suit. Sorry. That's really stupid because it's a Union Jack, yeah, if it's on a boat or a ship. Right? When it's on shore, it's called a Union flag. I should know better. But then again, if he was on a boat in that suit, then I suppose that would be the Union Jack. But anyway, right? He was like in the he once really stuck out in my mind, right? Just like I can remember back in 2016 when we actually had the vote, right? The person that really stuck out in my mind is the woman who was dancing on top of someone's shoulders, and I'm just thinking to myself, I wonder if she's still dancing all now, because I guarantee she's not. I guarantee a lot of these people have worked out, exactly, right, how much they've fucked up. A lot of them have. But then a lot of them, a lot of people is like, well, we should have left with no deal, which would have actually made things so much worse than they are. Right now, in the first place, the only thing to have done was to obviously stay in the customs union or the single market. That would have been the best kind of Brexit. Still not, Brexit was never a good idea, but that would have been the best kind of Brexit you could have had, because basically that would just mean that you're just like a rule taker, right? And you're not making any of the rules. Sort of how we are now. That's it, but that's been in the single market. So we would have been a rule taker without making any of the rules, but we wouldn't have had all this red tape in front of our businesses, and all of our industries wouldn't have been shot to pieces. So so that would have been the best Brexit they could have done. Would have been to stay in one of those two. Because, I mean, since Brexit, I mean, we've got the BBI, right, who have said that Britain economy is shrinking, going to shrink this year. Out of every economy in the world, ours, right, we've got the lowest growth. I know what you're thinking. Who the hell are the BBI? See, and that could be something I just made up, couldn't it? And it is. Right, because it's the Bank of England, Bloomberg, and the IMF. So I just made them into one. I just fused them into one, right? But those three, right, have given some really, the forecast is really bad. It's really bad. It's a minus, whichever way that is. But it's a minus, right? It's going south. If you're in south, it's going north. If you're in north, it's going east. If you're in east, it's going south. Right? Well, whichever way it's going, it's not going the right way. Right? It's going the opposite way that we should be. We, right, are set to have, right, a worse economy than Russia. I know what you're thinking. They've got sanctions and they're at war. Yeah. Because we sanctioned ourselves with Brexit. That's, you know how we always take sanctions out against other countries. Because we was like, looking so fly, looking so fresh, right? So we had to bring the sanctions upon ourselves. Because you know what? No one else would do it. No one else would bring sanctions on Great Britain. So we're just like, you know what? Why don't we sanction ourselves, right? Because, we sanction other people all the time with all the other countries in the rest of the world and no one else will do it to us. So we are going to sanction ourselves just to see how it feels. That's what must have been going on in these people's minds because, the stupidity, right, of Brexit, right, now that you know that our economy is going to be worse than Russia, a country who's going to war, right, a country who hasn't even got an economy bigger than fucking California. This is not good, right? So the IMF, the Bank of England, and Bloomberg have all dire straits is not even the word. But then up steps Jeremy Hunt. I don't know how people just mix that up. I've heard people actually mix. I had a woman on TV do it one time on the news. Right, she went to say the name Hunt, but actually said the C word. I was like, wow. I'm like, I don't even know how. You've got to do that on purpose because it's not really that. I mean, yeah, he is a see you next Tuesday, but that's not the point. But he's saying, you know what, you people need to stop talking this country down. Oh God, I'm trying to think of the word that he used. It was a really nice word that he used. Big word too. Right? But it was basically that it's the people talking the country down, right? And basically he would have said he would be saying to Bloomberg or to people from the BBI today, right? I'll fist fight you if you talk about that Britain's economy is shrinking because of Brexit. I mean, if you notice, we're the only country who are using this still, it's the effects of the pandemic why our economy is not growing as fast as it should be. Well, our economy is not growing, it's going backwards, firstly. Right? But no other country in the world, and every other country went through the pandemic, no other country in the world is using that about the effects of Brexit. I'm sorry, about the effects of the pandemic. No one else, only us. Everything they're trying to reach for, absolutely everything, but they won't look at the actual elephant that's in the room because there's a big motherfucking great elephant sat in the room. It's right there, sat in the room, and none of them. They're just like, oh no, Theresa Villas on the radio this morning, right? And she was on with another MP, and they was asked about what has Brexit brought this country that we can say is a benefit. And the first thing he said, obviously, was the vaccine rollout. But today, right, which really surprised me because, the presenter doesn't normally, especially because he's a Brexiter himself, this presenter on LBC. So he doesn't normally, he just normally lets them get away with that about the vaccine rollout. And today he didn't. He just said to him, no. He said to him, no. That's not true. And then that guy, right, I can't remember which MP it was, but he backtracked. And he was like, well, no, even if we could have rolled out the vaccine, that wouldn't have been, but they would have asked us not to do it. That was his answer. Right, and then Theresa Villas come on and she started spouting off a load of stuff and she started saying like the fishing industry, and you're like, well, the fishing industry, you're really Gonna mention the fishing industry when you've destroyed it. And she said, well, they've got bigger quotas now. Listen, having a bigger quota is fine. But if you haven't got anywhere to sell your stock, right, you might as well leave that in the motherfucking sea. Because it's pointless taking it out because they haven't got nowhere to sell it. They just have the European market because for some reason the Europeans like the things that swim around our coasts, right? For some reason they like it. I suppose the people I suppose over Asia it would probably be a big seller anyway as well. But the only thing is, right, that market's always been opened up to us because these things are already sold in Asia. So a lot of these fishermen they voted for Brexit. Right, before thinking to themselves, well, we vote for Brexit, where are we going to sell our goods? Because it's all very slimy stuff. That's the thing. A lot of it is very slimy stuff, and I think mackerel. And we're not very big on mackerel over here. I mean, unless you think you know something, I'm going to set up a mackerel fish and chip shop. And I say, good luck with that. Right, I say, really good luck with that. But make sure that you've got plenty of tomato sauce to flood on the mackerel because people over here don't like that type. They like fish that has no taste. So they can just put a little bit of salt and some vinegar on that. That's the seasoning. Right, but these people, there's still a lot of delusional politicians going on. I mean, these guys, they know what they're saying is rubbish. I mean, they've got to, because I know what they're saying is rubbish. So they have got to know what they're saying is just complete crap. People like Teresa Villas and Jacob Rees-Mogg and these type of people who really did sell this whole Brexit shit. But they know that what they're saying is not true. But they're just so barefaced with it that you just think to yourself, I mean, they sell it so well. £100 billion a year we are losing out of our economy. And we've got lower growth than Russia. We have a shrinking economy. Our travel industry has been destroyed. Our music industry has been destroyed. All of this is down to Brexit. Right, the music industry is in real problems, right? If you've got especially like things like the orchestras and things like that, they're just having such a hard time because obviously they can't. It's very difficult for them to get all their equipment into the EU and all that type of thing because where they could just they just had to just get on a coach before and just fill the the big boot of the coach, and and they literally just drive to wherever they want to go. Now it's all different. Because if they went on a tour, they've got to be all these different borders. They've got to be checked over, and then if they're on tour, I mean, they can't be for certain places for more than 30 days, and it's an absolute nightmare for them, for all of these people. We are paying an extra £800 a year for our groceries. And remember, right, that because we're out of the EU, that has had a direct effect on our utilities as well. Because remember, in France it could only be raised by 4%. So if the EU, if we were still in the EU, right, they wouldn't have been able to raise. They wouldn't have been able to raise our So these are the type of the type of laws and rules that the Brexit were saying. Yes, these rules and these laws, we need them changed. The ones that really affect our own pocket. 17%. I think that's around what it is. Around 17% extra. And I'm going to wrap this video up, and I'm going to finish on this. I don't want my daughters to grow up in a country where you need a visa to go to Europe, said Liz Truss. That's while she was a sensible politician. No, actually, we'll go back a little bit before that, because probably when she was a Lib Dem, she was a sensible politician. But, Liz Truss, right, certainly was not a Brexiter. But all of these people, they have sold their soul, right, to the devil that is Brexit, right? And they will continue and continue and continue. This, my friends, is by any means necessary. I'm DMC John Ribbs. This was a Brexit special. Thank you for everybody for watching.